Nidhi.
And I'm Nishka.
And we're back, and this time we're going to be talking about hand gestures, which are also known as mudras. And make sure to keep the image on the first cover slide in mind, and we'll talk about that a little bit later and what it actually represents. So, last time we talked about the different aspects of dance. We talked about the significance of Pushpanjali, and we also talked about the Asamyukta Hasta and Samyukta Hasta. And we just gave a brief overview on it. And this time we're going to go more in depth about the Asamyukta Hasta and the Samyukta Hasta. We're going to talk about the different number of hastas, and we'll also talk about the significance of the mudras and how different mudras can mean different things. We're going to talk about the significance of the Thodaya Mangalam and also more about upcoming videos.
So if you guys remember, in the previous video, we talked about Tandava versus Lasya, and we learned that Tandava is more masculine and done with more energy and strength, and it tends to have more complex poses and goes at a faster beat. Whereas Lasya is more feminine and it's done with more grace and beauty, and it tends to be a little bit slower and more expressive. But we didn't go into detail about a specific story or a little bit behind an example of a Tandava. So the Krishna Tandava is a story behind Lord Krishna and how he fought snake Kaliya in the river Yamuna. And this was a really energetic, fast, and strong dance. And I know this because shortly before Corona started, my dance academy started teaching me this dance. And by the time we were done doing small sections of it, we'd be really tired, and it had a lot of complex poses, and you had to move really fast and go up and down, and you were sweating a lot. And this is pretty much the definition of a Tandava. It's done with a lot of energy and strength. And a little fun fact about the Krishna Tandava is the snake Kaliya, each of its heads is representing human desire. So every time Lord Krishna chopped a head off or killed a head, another head came in place of it. And this is representing the human's desire. And every time a desire is being fulfilled, another desire is coming up and taking a place of that. And we're going to talk about the individual Tandava types. So the first Tandava is the Rudra Tandava. And then this Tandava is showing expressive anger, and it's showing how by killing the evil, you're getting salvation.
The next one is the Ananda Tandava, and it represents the joy Lord Shiva feels as he dances.
The Tripura Tandava is showing how Lord Shiva killed 3 demons, and Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu were also there.
The Sandhya Tandava represents Lord Shiva dancing with an audience of Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu, and this normally occurs in the evening.
The Samara Tandava is symbolizing the destruction of the universe.
The Kali Tandava represents the form that Lord Shiva takes, the biter form, in order to destroy the wicked and evil.
And the Uma Tandava is showing expressions such as love and affection.
So we talked about the Asamyukta Hastas last time. If you remember, they're single-handed gestures. And we specifically talked about the Pataka, the Mukula, and the Alapadma. And last time I forgot to mention that these hastas can be treated as sign language. So in sign language, we use different hand movements and patterns to represent different objects or actions. And in that way, hastas also represent different objects or actions based on the different hand gestures. So one thing about hastas is that they can represent a multitude of different things. For example, if you take the Alapadma hasta, it can represent a fully blossomed lotus, it can represent a full moon, and it can also be used to show beauty. And when we look at the Mukula hasta, it can either be a mouse or a flower bud. And we can see the Mukula hasta as a mouse, which is what Nishka is showing when she's depicting a mouse using that hasta. Also, you can see the Pataka hasta and the Alapadma hasta, which is what I'm using to depict the pose in this picture. So the Samyukta hastas are the double-handed gestures. And one thing to note is that Asamyukta hastas can be used to create Samyukta hastas. And we talked about the Shiva Linga, we talked about the Pushpaputa, and also the Anjali. And the Anjali, this is just a fun fact, but the Anjali is representing the offering of flowers, devotion, swaram, and Geetam. And if we connect this to the last video where we talked about the Pushpanjali was the blessing of flowers. And in the same way, the Geetanjali is the blessing of Geetam or songs. the Swaranjali is the offering of swaram or music, and the Shraddhanjali is the offering of devotion, which is also love. And here you can see the Pushpa Puja, which represents the carrying of flowers, fruits, and water. And this goes on to show how different hastas can represent different things, because the Pushpa Puja can also represent more than just the carrying of flowers. It can represent the carrying of water and others.
Now let's talk about the Thodaya Mangalam. This is an auspicious blessing of the gods, and it's usually done for different reincarnations of Lord Vishnu, such as Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. And it's done by the Talapakam poets, and they wrote 5 songs, and it was also done by composers such as Sri Bhadradi Ramadasa, Sri Annamacharya, and Sri Vijaya Gopala Swamigal. And this was written in about the 15th century, and it can be written in multiple languages, including Sanskrit, as well as Telugu and Tamil. And it's usually a devotional song, and it's done as one of the first couple songs. And for Maya Engagement, we did Jaya Janaki, because like we said, there are 5 songs written in the Thodaya Mangalam, and we did the first one, which is Jaya Janaki.
So I told you guys to keep in mind the first image on the cover slide, and this is why. In this image, you can see Lord Vishnu and Garuda, and this is what Nishka and I were portraying when we did this pose in our dance. And it goes to show how different hastas, Nishka's using the Asamita Tirpataka hastas to show Lord Vishnu, and how Garuda can also be shown using the different mudras and hastas. And here's just a clipping of our performance. And make sure to keep in mind the 3 we talked about last time: Nritta, Nritya, and Natya. Okay, so you could see the nritya through the graceful instruction movements. You could see the nritta through the presentation of the rhythm, such as the talam and foot movements, and the natya as the story strung together. And you'll see most of Bharatanatyam dances having a story surrounding it.
So this is a sloka, and it's yato hasta tato drishti tato manaha tato bhava tato rasa.
And it means where the hand is, the eyes follow. Where the eyes go, the mind follows. Where the mind is, there's a feeling. Where there is feeling, there's mood and sweetness. And we'll make sure to keep putting slokas in, because slokas are an important thing to remember.
So let's recap. In this video, we talked about different hand mudras. We talked about different types of tandavas. We also watched a short clipping of our Jaya Janaki performance, and we talked about the Thodaya Mangalam.
And make sure to be on a lookout for more videos. In addition to the episodes we're making, we're also working to put out makeup videos and other things that will be alongside these productions. Thank you.